Israel and the Lebanese group Hezbollah are on the brink of an all-out war after an attack that left 12 dead at a soccer field in the Israel-controlled Golan Heights. Hezbollah denied any involvement. Israel launched a retaliatory attack, targeting one of Hezbollah's top military leaders in the capital city of Beirut just days later. The escalation comes after decades of simmering conflict along Israel's northern border. In that time, Hezbollah, a U.S.-designated terror organization, has grown from a small militia to a powerful military and political force in the Middle East. Here's how Hezbollah built its arsenal and influence, and what the continued fighting could mean for the region. To understand how Hezbollah amassed its power, we have to look back 5 decades and beyond Lebanon's borders to Israel and Iran. In 1979, Iran was in the aftermath of a revolution that installed Ayatollah Khomeini as Iran's first supreme leader of the Islamic Republic. Khomeini wanted to unify Islamic groups throughout the Middle East.
One of the bedrocks of the Islamic Republic was not only the idea of a revolution within Iran, but the whole idea was to export this revolution.
Matthew Levitt is a former counterterrorism expert for the FBI, State Department, and U.S. Treasury, and is currently a fellow at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy.
And so they looked first to countries where there are decent-sized Shia minorities.
One of these was Lebanon, where a conflict had broken out between Israel and Palestinian fighters.
There were secular Palestinian groups who were kicked out of Jordan and made their way to Lebanon and were using southern Lebanon as a launching pad to carry out attacks against Israel.
Israel first invaded Lebanon back in 1978 after an attack by Palestinian militants that killed dozens of Israeli civilians. And in response, Israel invaded southern Lebanon, and the conflict led to hundreds of deaths among Lebanese. Then 4 years later, in 1982, Israel invaded southern Lebanon again as a result of skirmishes across the border.
The Shiites were one of several conflicting religious groups involved in a civil war in the country, and some of its militant factions started accepting support from Iran.
Iran provided intelligence, it provided more arms, it provided funds. By 1982, Iran is sending people across Iraq and Syria to the Bekaa Valley, and they're establishing in a barracks there a training place in Lebanon.
And as resources poured in, these Shiite factions became more organized.
Originally, the idea was really just to create an umbrella for these groups, but really it ended up becoming a much more structured, hierarchical organization that became known as Hezbollah, literally the Party of God.
Hezbollah released its first manifesto in 1985.
The idea, as is made very, very clear in the open letter, that this new group Hezbollah takes direction from, pledges fealty to Iran, sees the supreme leader of Iran as their leader and the mouthpiece of God on earth, sees the United States and France specifically, but the West in general, as the reason for all the world's ills, is committed to the destruction of the state of Israel and is against any idea of negotiating with it.
Though Hezbollah has become less dependent on Iran in recent years, as of 2022, it still received the bulk of its operating budget from Iran, a number the U.S. State Department estimates to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. But Iran isn't the group's only source of support. It's also allied with Syria.
You know, if you look at the map, Syria is strategically located. It kind of surrounds Lebanon to the west and north. Syria became a very, very important part of the development of Hezbollah over the years. Provided headquarters for Hezbollah in Syria, provided their own weapons, and certainly facilitated the provision of Iranian weapons to Hezbollah through Syria.
These relationships have helped Hezbollah build up its arsenal, which includes a number of sophisticated weapons.
Hezbollah uses this arsenal to occasionally prod Israel in sort of cross-border skirmishes, but it also uses this as deterrence. The Israelis know that if they attack Lebanon, or for that matter Iran, Hezbollah has missiles that can reach Tel Aviv, and they have tens of thousands of them. As
Hezbollah's military power has grown, so has its political influence.
It's important to remember that in addition to being a militia, Hezbollah is also a political party that seeks to curry favor with voters in Lebanon and its Shiite constituents.
Leading that effort is its longtime leader.
Since 1992, the leader of Hezbollah, its Secretary General, has been Hassan Nasrallah, who is a charismatic figure among Lebanese and a trusted ally of Iran.
وسنعتبر أي يد تمتد إلى سلاحنا يدا إسرائيلية سنقطعها.
In 1992, Hezbollah also took on an official role in Lebanon's government, with members participating in elections and winning for the first time.
Lebanon's political system is divided into the three main religious sects in the country: the Sunnis, the Shias, and the Christians. Hezbollah, as one of the main Shia groups, commands disproportionate amount of power.
Hezbollah, being apart from the government, can make its own decisions. What does it as an organization want? And then it can task its members who are parliamentarians, its members who are ministers or have other positions in government or in the military to do what they can to implement those.
Under Nasrallah's leadership, Hezbollah has become intertwined with the social fabric of Lebanon.
Hezbollah over the years has become increasingly involved in delivering social services. It runs schools, it runs hospitals, it builds infrastructure, it trains farmers, and all this has helped Hezbollah cast itself as sort of an alternative to the actual government in Lebanon.
If you are getting your child free education and your child gets one hot meal a day at school from Hezbollah, you're probably going to vote for Hezbollah.
To help bolster its public standing, Hezbollah also runs extensive media operations. It has various media outlets and an army of journalists who travel with its fighters to the front, where it reports on skirmishes with Israel.
What Hezbollah does through this is builds grassroots support, but also builds up what it calls a culture of resistance. It's critical for Hezbollah to make people feel that there's something they need to resist.
War broke out in 2006 after Hezbollah fighters abducted Israeli soldiers across the border.
Several hundred people were killed in this conflict, primarily Lebanese, and this spurred Hezbollah and Iran to expand on the group's military, and since then Hezbollah's missile arsenal has grown almost tenfold.
Then in 2013, when it publicly joined the Syrian civil war, defending the regime of Bashar al-Assad.
Through that presence, it has become an even more trusted ally of Iran, but it's also strengthened relations with other Iranian allies.
As Hezbollah's influence has grown, so has tension in the region. Israel and Hezbollah have regularly exchanged fire after the October 7th attacks by Hamas. Israel's military said it believed the strike in the Golan Heights in July was carried out by Hezbollah. It also said it was the largest civilian casualty event in Israel since October 7th. Israel authorized a retaliatory attack the following day, as the U.S. and other countries attempted to de-escalate the situation.
We're in conversations with the government of Israel, and again, I emphasize its right to defend its citizens and our determination to make sure that they're able to do that. But we also don't want to see the conflict escalate. We don't want to see it spread. That has been one of our goals from day one, from October 7th on.
But the conflict has continued to escalate.